Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday night Fireside Chat. So tonight, fairies, guides, and galactic helpers. How do I come up with these ideas? With a lot of help sometimes. So welcome everyone to tonight. Hey Fiona, you were in quick. So everyone that's coming in or is about to come in, don't forget to tell your friends and family members if you think that they might be interested. Hey Jasmine, hey Trina, and hey Kathy. So tonight's going to be an interesting one because there's a common thread between those three different types of beings, and majorly it's because they're helping us. But it's how to communicate with them that I'd like to help you with. Hi Karen, how you going? G'day Anne Doyle. So what I would like you to remember is for tonight, don't forget to ask questions. Hey Kylie, don't forget to ask questions. And if you do, you'll go in you'll be automatically put in for the free spirit guide reading that you might win. Oh, who else? We've got Sharon, Anne Barkley, Emma Oliver, Christina Maidman. Hey, how you going, guys? Everyone's coming in. Cool, and Paulette Wallace. All right, so speaking of spirit guide readings, who won it for tonight is Kay Hamilton. So Kay will be getting in contact with you, and if you can give me a ring, then we can work out a time when I can book you in for a free half-hour reading. So grounding exercise as normal to begin with, and we're going to do that now. So remembering what this grounding exercise is all about, it's about looking after yourself, managing your energy, and part of that is grounding. Now, probably what I should throw in first before we do that, this is what I'm going to talk about now, just for a few minutes, is why we need to be grounded and why we need to be managing our energy a lot better. You can't just hope it's going to be okay anymore because there's so much happening. So what's been happening, there's a few things that have been going on that are affecting our energy. About 2 weeks ago, we had another wave of high vibrational energy come in. So this has been a constant for about 14 years now, 12, 13 years, something like that. And so just that every wave of energy that comes in now is affecting our base chakra energy because we have to adjust to that high frequency. So while we're in the mode of adjusting to that, which can take a bit sometimes if you're not doing anything to support your energy and support your base chakra, it can affect you quite strongly. So that's one thing that's having an effect on us. So over this last 3 days, there's been a lot of solar activity, so solar storms, and this is not just affecting us, but it's affecting the Earth as well. So what's happening, the Schumann resonance has been affected by these solar storms and solar activity. And what that's doing, it's raising the frequency of the Schumann resonance. And so what that's doing to us, because our energy is directly connected to the Earth's energy. And so if we're not grounded and something happens or is affecting the Schumann resonance, then we get shaken pretty heavily. And so what's happened just recently over this last week or so is that everyone's pulling their heads in. They're not sort of reaching out. They're cancelling, not just with spiritual work, but all kinds of jobs out there and things people are experiencing. People are cancelling workshops and cancelling sessions and doing all kinds of stuff like this because they're not able to really be in a good space to deal with things. So everyone just goes inward, and this is what's been affecting a lot of people just lately. So as this dies off, everyone will start to come out, and will then be looking for help again, or be then engaging more with life. But this grounding exercise that, you know, I feel like I'm trying to brainwash everyone with this one, but this grounding exercise is what will help support you through this stuff. So anyway, so let's go. I'll just say a few more hellos. Hey, Sharon, Paul, how you going? Deanne Cooper, Liz Fink, how you going, Lizzie? All right, here we go. So get yourselves nice and comfortable, and just close your eyes and begin to breathe nice and deeply. So a nice full conscious breath in, roughly about 4 seconds in, and then 4 seconds breathing out. And so it's important to remember that this breath is not just about oxygen. It's about life force, which is a commodity that we have to have. We need it. It literally is like air to our physical body. Life force is something we can't do without. But what we need to work out for ourselves is how to get it in a healthy way instead of taking it from others, because that's the only option. Okay, so with that breath in, pulling in the next breath in, pulling in a deep one, really pulling in that life force with the breath out, then push that life force down through your body, your base chakra in the pelvic area, down through your legs, your feet, and down into the earth. And so as you pull your energy down into the earth, just keep doing that same visualization or that same process, just until you start to feel energy flowing down through your feet, which often will feel like tingling going down through your feet, or warmth. So when you do feel that tingling, no, it's not your feet falling asleep. It's actually energy moving down through your body. Okay. So you should have that by now. So now that you've got that energy flowing, now we're going to go deeper, knowing that our chakra system is far more expansive than they show you in the books. Our chakra system extends right down to the core of the earth, and that's where we're going to go, right down to the deepest chakra point we have, which is called our earth chakra, which aligns with the earth's core chakra. So now taking another deep breath in with the next breath, holding that, and with the breath out, just drive that energy straight down to the core of the earth, to your earth chakra. All you need to do is have that intention in your head, in your space, and that's where that energy will go. Same thing with each breath, just doing that same cycle of breathing until you feel some sort of recognition of connection with that chakra, which generally can be an overall feeling of tingling around your physical body, which is energy again. Sometimes it can be just like a real centeredness or a peace that you feel. Cool. So let it go a little bit longer so people can get that one, particularly if you haven't connected with that chakra before. But I've noticed just with clients that people seem to be connecting with these deeper chakra points much quicker, much easier now. Cool. Okay, so if you've got that, then what I want you to do is just hold your space just for a few seconds. knowing that that energy is flowing. It's just running on automatic now because you're in that breathing mode still, pulling in that life force. That's the mode you're in at the moment. And now we're going to go a little bit deeper into an area within our energy system, which is called our core star energy. So what this is representative of is the God force within. So the energy of the universe, God, creator, however, whatever that is for you. It's not just outside of you, it's inside of you as well. So if you can bring your awareness to the center of your body to start, physical body to start with, as you hold your awareness at that point, then imagine just diving off that point into your energy system, which is on a different vibrational level than the physical body. So just like the TARDIS in Doctor Who, what seems like a specific size on the outside, as soon as you open that door, it's huge on the inside. That's what we're like. So just diving deep into that huge space inside you until you see or feel a high vibrational energy. You may see it as a light, or you may feel it just as something more pure. So as you connect with that light, now again with your intention, with your thoughts, begin to expand that light out to start with to fill your physical body. So as it starts to stream out from deep inside you, pouring out through all of those different vibrational levels within you, and then filling that three-dimensional level of you, the physical body, with light. Imagine every cell in your body being touched by light. And so now as you've expanded that light out within your body, now expanding it out beyond your physical body into your energy system. So to start with, just expanding out to about 3 to 4 meters around in all directions. And as you do that, knowing that this is bringing you out into about between the 8th and the 9th energy body, which relates to not just the human experience, but your galactic connection to everything that's around us as well, particularly our galactic family, which we're going to talk a little bit about tonight. So again, just expanding that light out to that area. Now with it expanded out to that 3 to 4 meter area, now we're just going to let it loose. So on the count of 3, I just want you to explode that light out in all directions. No boundaries. So 1, 2, and 3. Let it go. That's fantastic. Even online, I can still feel that as everyone, that united front of people are opening up that core star energy. I can feel it. And it's a great feeling too. Very cool. Okay, guys, so from here, now just, you do not at all have to pull that light in, because this is going to keep your energy at a high frequency, which will, in a lot of ways, protect your energy from anything of a lower frequency. So now just bringing your awareness, that's all, back to your physical body, and start off or finish off with what we started with, which is just breathing that life force in again, and then pulling that energy that you're breathing in down through your body, your base chakra, down through your legs and feet and back into the earth. And there we go. Very cool, guys. right, now that we're all back, hopefully, just a couple more hellos. Hey, Ros Boundy, Marie Milliken, and Mike Tapscott. Good to see you guys on board. All right, so I talked a little bit about, I don't think I actually finished, to be honest, what I was talking about before. So we've had these effects that have been happening to us from solar storms. So these solar storms that are affecting the Earth are also affecting us. And where it's hitting us mostly is in the heart area. But it's hitting the heart now. You got to remember that our auric field, our energy system, is on 4 different levels mostly. It's on a physical level, an emotional level, a mental level, and a spiritual level. So this energy that we're being hit with and that's affecting our heart at the moment is on all 4 of those levels. And you could call the spiritual level an energetic level. But everything is energy. So it's hitting us on all of those levels. And what that grounding will do, which is what you've just done, it has a huge effect on being able to stabilize that. And, you know, as soon as you feel any shift going on, any change, you feel your energy get a bit wobbly, that grounding exercise is, because it's quick, and the more you do it, it gets quicker, that has a huge effect on your ability to stay stable. So I teach this a lot, particularly when I'm helping people to open up spiritually more, because your base chakra is actually your most important chakra, because that stabilizes everything else. All right. So fairies, guides, and galactic helpers. Well, it's a huge subject, and we could probably talk for hours on this one, but we've got about 45 minutes. So there's a common thread between all of them, and that's energy. Hey, Fiona, and hey, Carol. All right, so let's start with fairies, because they have quite an interesting energy. So fairies are becoming more active, because they have every being that exists works on a certain level of vibration. Now, what fairies work on is quite a high frequency for an earth being. Even though they're connected to the earth in a strong way, they also have a very high frequency that they connect with as well, which not all beings do. So these little guys are here to keep us, the ones when they engage with us, they're here to keep us young, because they communicate with children all the time. And unfortunately, with parents that sometimes don't understand all of this, they tend to affect kids when kids are saying that they are seeing fairies. And as children get older, parents tend to squash and what the kids are seeing, and the kids start to believe that it doesn't exist, because parents, quite often mainstream parents, will say, oh, you know, it's just your imagination. If you hear that enough, then what will happen is you'll start to believe that. And so that's what happens with kids. Kids start to suppress that ability to be able to feel and see, which kind of goes along for everything else too: guides, galactic helpers, spirits, all of that sort of thing. But specifically what fairies tend to do, they tend to be around people that get very serious. Because when I see a fairy sort of buzzing around and moving around a person all the time, it tends to be that person's got way too serious, and they need to learn to have fun again, and connect with nature as well. Because most people that get really serious, they don't go out into nature and enjoy themselves. They'll just, I don't know, they'll just do serious stuff. It's important to remember that, you know, we do need to be reminded of that little child inside us. And I don't mean an inner child that's been damaged. I mean just that younger us that needs to have fun as well. Doesn't matter how old we are, we still need to have fun. And look, these times we're in particular at the moment, it can get very serious because it's, you know, it's affecting our energy so much, all of these energy shifts that are happening on the planet. So we do tend to go into that serious mode. And so there are a lot of fairies around at the moment. And probably going to leave communicating with them till the end, because pretty much it's the same thing for all. But I'll be more specific at the end. So if you've got any questions on fairies, I'm happy to answer them. So please throw them in. Not fairies, the questions. And let's talk about guides for a little bit. So guides are an interesting one. This is one of the most consistent things that I've seen right from almost from the beginning of when I started doing spiritual work, opening up spiritually 32 years ago. I've noticed that guides are around. It's very rare that I don't see quite a few guides around people. There seems to be a bit of a sweet spot with spiritual people. They tend to have about 7 or 8 guides with them. And that generally means to me that they're actively working on themselves on an emotional, mental, spiritual, physical level, because their guides generally become more active, and you do attract more guides the more personal growth work that you're doing. So guides have a wealth of information about the person and how to help you to reach your potential, because that's why they're there. Sure, they're growing and learning too, but you've got to remember, guides are an aspect of your soul group. They're an aspect of your soul. So, you know, when we think about guides, a lot of people don't realize that what they're actually talking about with guides is the fact that they're no different to what most people would call past life experiences. It's just that these past life experiences that act as guides are more evolved aspects of our soul. So let's try and put that into context. I'll make that a bit clearer. So let's say here's God or Great Spirit, however you want to perceive that. For God to evolve and to learn and to grow, then there has to be a state of separation. So this is how guides explained this to me many, many years ago. So God would separate into souls, then the soul separates into life experiences, and then when you're in a life, particularly like we are now, where there's a lot of spiritual growth happening on the planet, and then what happens is guides are here. You attract guides into your life that can help you to reach your potential. So each guide will have a certain level of skills, and you know, whatever potential you have in this life, there'll be guides there that have a particular qualities about them, which are there to support you. So when guides start telling me, if I'm doing work with someone, if guides start telling me about their story, about their life, and what their strengths were, then it's pretty much telling me about the person that they're with. And so the whole thing gets really interesting then, because guides have the ability to help promote those skills that they've had in their life for that person that they're with. So basically what goes on is, here's your soul that's had all of these different life experiences. Here's you attract guides to you or other life experiences to you that have a wealth of information about certain subjects, and then those guides, who are aspects of your soul, help you. Now, when they've helped you, all that they can help you, because this has happened to me a couple of times, when a guide has given you all of the information that that guide can give you and you're taking it on, then what happens is you actually embody the energy of that guide. Now, what that means on a soul level, it means you actually become stronger spiritually within yourself and closer to source, because you engage, you embody the energy of another aspect of your soul. So your ability to connect with source is much clearer, and it's really fascinating stuff when you start to understand all of this, because it would certainly spur, if everyone knew this, it would spur people on, particularly spiritual people, to actively do more work, because what happens naturally is, as you keep doing personal development through your life, spiritual development, the more you engage with guides, the more you actively grow, then something that's kind of a no-brainer when you understand this stuff is that your abilities begin to get stronger and clearer very, very quickly. It's been an amazing journey for myself. I've always been pretty self-driven, and so because of that, I tend to really, work a lot on myself, and this helps with the growth experience and also with abilities. So yeah, I love talking about guides because they've helped me so much, and when you do engage with guides more, which I teach people how to, then it's amazing, because then you become much stronger in yourself, and you don't need to go and get help as much from readers, or you don't need to go and get a reading. I don't want to do readers out of work, but when you are doing a lot of self-development, you tend to be your own reader, and you follow your intuition more, because that like I said earlier with fairies, when kids start to suppress their feelings, their abilities, they tend to have a great deal of lack of trust in themselves. And so with that lack of trust, you tend not to, it's not so much not taking yourself seriously, but you don't listen to your intuition, which is really important. So guides have a huge ability to help you to grow. Now, just going to take in a couple of questions. So Fiona's asking or saying, I have read that some of the Fae, which are fairies, are malevolent. Is this your experience? Fairies are an interesting one. They can be little tricksters, but what I've found through talking to particularly woodland fairies, see, my connection is more towards forests. I know some people connect with, going to the beach a lot and walking along the beach. Well, I enjoy that too, but I really have a connection to the plant kingdom and to the forest energy. And what I found is woodland fairies, as they call themselves, are generally pretty straight down the line. They're very clear with the information they give you, and they're not what I call serious, but they can be serious when they need to be. And it's been fantastic over the years working with them. But there are some fairies that are not exactly like that, and they can be little tricksters. They like to, let's say, poke fun at us. They like to trip us up, and sometimes that can be a good thing. In the native culture, or particularly the Native American culture, there's a personality that would normally be in a village, and they call them the Heyoka. And the Heyoka is known as the trickster and carries coyote energy. And because you probably, if you read medicine cards, the coyote is known as a trickster. So what I mean by the trickster is generally Heyoka personality, which is quite often the medicine man or a shaman, will do all kinds of crazy stuff. You know, he'll come along and he'll roll around on the ground in front of you, and or you might be talking with someone. And I've actually seen this happening over in America in a big ceremony where there was a Heyoka. And you may be talking to someone else and having a serious conversation, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this Heyoka comes over, and this particular guy that was playing that was the Heyoka, was quite a big guy, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he seems to be there, and he just is trying to trip you up with your conversation with the other person. And basically what they're doing, just like these fairy energies can do, is they're trying to see where your breaking point is. And if you're really calm and relaxed and grounded, then it tends not to affect you. You either walk away and you go, okay, maybe this isn't the right time to talk about this stuff. I'll talk about it with you later, when we don't have the theatre around us. But what I've seen the Heyokas really get under people's skin. And look, in the end, the whole idea of that is to see where you have anger or where you have frustration or anxiety sitting in your body. The Heyoka is there to help you to bring that to the surface, because we humans can get really good at hiding from our inner demons. So the Heyoka is there to get those inner demons up to the surface, which can be really interesting and fun sometimes to watch. Okay, so that's guides. Now I'll just go here with Tracy. I have been embodying my guides for some time now. Lucky you told me who they are, Matthew. Yeah, and look, a lot of people, on that subject of embodying guides, I've had people say to me sometimes that their guides tell them to do strange things. They'll tell them to, I won't mention some of the things they tell them to do, but a guide will not tell you to do anything. A guide is exactly what the word means, is a guide. Space that's telling you to do something that you know in yourself you shouldn't do, or something that's not right, then it definitely isn't a guide. It'll be some sort of entity or a reptilian energy or something else. But just remember, guides are there for your well-being and for you to help you to reach your potential. So it's really important to remember that, because guides are there. They're a trusted energy that I have no doubts about, because I've been working with them for so long and I've seen them with other people. And Sharon's saying, I feel like they use our kids to trick you or test your anger. I think you're talking about fairies now. And yes, they do. And look, fairies can do all kinds of things. They can, if you need a bit of shaking up, if you're in, I've seen people that have been in a rush all the time, have just been so busy, and all of a sudden their keys will go missing or something will go missing. And it's not always the person losing it themselves. Sometimes fairies do step in. And I have heard of and been around people that have had experiences in their house where books have shot out of bookshelves, and it's not always spirits that do that. Fairies can do that too, or knock something over, but generally it's there to make you aware of something. So they can draw on a lot of earth energy, particularly as we're growing now, because not just us, are being affected by this raising in frequency, but every being on the planet is being affected by this raising in frequency. And look, we can go further with that. Even galactic beings are being affected by this raising in frequency as well. They've told me that. So, you know, we can put fairies into that category. Your pets are being affected by this raising in frequency. You know, if you feel your animals that you own or have are doing strange things, you're seeing strange personalities coming up, you know, the energy is affecting them too. So Adair's got a question. What about things like scratches on skin? Is that fairies trying to get your attention? Yes, it can be. There can be a few things going on there, because sometimes as this raising in frequency occurs, even spirits are gaining energy from this stuff. So it takes a lot of energy for a spirit to actually move something, but they can do, which means that they can actually come into our physical world. Like I said, it takes a lot of energy to be able to do that, but they can actually so to speak, step into this physical world and affect us in a physical way. But yes, fairies can do that too. But they generally, a fairy would not harm you. So if it was a deep scratch, that wouldn't be a fairy. But yes, you can have a look. I've had many experiences of late where I'm hearing and feeling and seeing guides, spirits, and other beings far more than I have before, because everything's changing. It's not just about my abilities getting stronger, it's actually about their energy and our energy starting to cross over. And so we're starting to be able to see things that we haven't seen before, but they're also stepping into our realm as well. It's not just us stepping into their realm. So Rodney's asking, woodland fairies, are they more likely to be around portals? I've never looked at it that way, but yes. So there's a few places in Mount Crawford Forest where I've found there are portals. Now, these portals are used mostly by galactic beings, but interestingly enough, there are fairies around them. So fairies, particularly woodland fairies, they tend to be really across the board within a forest area, but you'll find their community more so in a very green, damper spot in the forest, area that tends to get maybe less dryness, where it's moister, where the soil holds moisture more, and it's generally a lot greener. And sometimes it can be an actual effect of the fairy energy as well. It tends to give more energy. There's almost like a circulation of energy between the plant kingdom and the fairies themselves, and so one feeds the other. So it does tend to be a lot greener in areas where communities of fairies are. So I hope that answers that question. Karen, so the fairies locked my keys in my car. Locked my keys in my car this morning. Got a day off work. Happy days. Thanks, fairy. I love it. Obviously, you did need the day off then. Thanks, Karen. So Anne Neal, I've seen no evidence of fairies. How can I see them? Are they not just ghouls disguised as good to trap you? No. One of the things we need to remember is that there's far fewer negative entities around us now. So a lot fewer. They're still out there, but it's important not to get caught up in the the ghostly stuff and the Hollywoodized fear mongering that goes on. Look, Hollywood has a lot to answer for, I'm afraid. So, all of those horror movies that you may have seen or are out there put a lot of fear in people, particularly kids. And when you grow up with that, then you tend to have a slightly tainted view of things that you can't see. So you're asking, how do you see them? Raise your frequency. Look, one of the best things you can do, look, let me talk about galactic helpers first, and then I'll get into this because it's a subject that really relates to all three. Hey, Mary, and hey, Amanda. Good to see you. All right. So galactic helpers. Now, I've talked about galactic beings quite a bit over the years, and we had a galactic channeling night not that long ago. It was only well, it was last week, I think. Anyway, whenever it was. And so galactic beings, this is a huge subject. So galactic beings are here. Why are they here now? It's because they've been watching us for millions of years, basically. Because they're watching us, or why they're watching us, I should start with, is because they see us as their family, where we share the same DNA. So humanity's beginnings started with a number of interactions with many different extraterrestrial species, and there's certainly been genetic modifications done to us over the years. And so what's happened is we are now a product of not just lower vibrational beings, but higher vibrational beings also. So again, let me try and put a bit more depth to that answer. So what happened when humanity began? There was already a humanoid species here, but there was also at several points in our history, there's been an influx of extraterrestrial galactic beings that have come in and literally interacted on many levels with that humanoid species. And then as DNA begins to cross over from one species to another, then there's a collective DNA that occurs within the general populace of species, generation after generation after generation. But what happened in the beginning was the majority of these galactic beings that did come here and interact with us were of a higher frequency. So the Earth's frequency was much lower back then. So what happens then is, excuse me a sec. So what happens then, as the species grows and evolves with all of that extra DNA that's accumulating, but with the Earth's energy at a lower frequency, the extraterrestrial DNA that begins to settle within the consciousness of humanity begins to drop down to to the Earth's energy level, or the Earth's energy frequency, the Schumann resonance. Now, what's happening is, as that occurs, then the abilities of those different extraterrestrial species tends to dull over time. we're talking right back at the beginning of humanity's growth. Now, what's happening now, which is this raising in frequency, this raising in frequency is actually playing out within our physical body much more than it ever has, because this raising in frequency is actually stimulating the awakening of that DNA that hasn't been active. So we've had an and you can talk to any scientist about this. There's what they classify as rubbish DNA that we carry, and that's the word they've used, is not rubbish DNA. It's galactic DNA that's just been dormant. So what's happening with this raising in frequency is that bit by bit, as the frequency raises on the planet, that DNA is beginning to become active. And so there's been a lot of issues with that, physical issues that people have been having, but it actually begins to balance out after a while. So as this DNA awakens within us, there are things that come along with that. So abilities, and not just physical abilities, but energetic abilities too. So this is happening ongoing. So this is partly what's causing the spiritual awakening, which is happening on the planet now. Now, this is where we come down to how do we communicate with any of these beings. So to communicate with any being, you have to have some sort of ability to interact. And because at the moment, the majority of beings on the planet, galactic beings on the planet, and fairies on the planet, and guides around us, are not visible to the majority of people. The reason why they're not visible is because the majority of people on the planet carry a lot of suppressed emotional energy within us. Now, if you could see an aura, what happens in an aura? The energy in an aura doesn't just stand still. It doesn't just stay static. The energy of an aura is constantly moving and flowing. With every emotion, with every thought, with every feeling, the aura is expanding and contracting. And the shape changes too. So what's happening within the majority of people on the planet is that suppressed energy, negative energy, those suppressed emotions, that has an effect on the ability of the aura to expand and contract. It actually forces the energy of the aura to more so contract. Now, when the energy of our aura is contracted, it affects our abilities to be able to communicate with guides, to be able to communicate with spirits, to be able to see them. But that also includes fairies and galactic beings. And so we have to go through a process, and there's no quick fix for this. Lots of people that would like a quick fix, but there is no quick fix for this. There's no green tablet or red tablet. The idea is to actually open up and clear your energy. You have to actually do some hard work. And a lot of people don't like that. They want to go and have some ayahuasca on a weekend and suddenly, poof, they're spiritually evolved. It just doesn't happen that way. You have to actually do some focusing on yourself and start to look after yourself, start to delve deeper into your emotional baggage, fears, anxieties. If you carry fears and anxieties, if you have reactions to certain situations and you can't seem to stop those reactions, then it means there's suppressed energy or suppressed emotions inside you. Now, that's the stuff that gets in the way of you being able to communicate with guides. So the first, or fairies or galactic beings. So the thing to do to start with is to ground your energy more, because the chakra that is most affected by this suppressed energy is your base chakra. So the more active work you do on your base chakra, the more your abilities will begin to shine, but also the more your baggage will come to the surface. Now, you can fast track this stuff too, and that's what I do. This is the work I do, is to help people to open up spiritually, to be able to see guides and to be able to see and feel energy. So it's then you can start to do things like meditation, which is a great way to learn to communicate with beings. So let's go with some questions we've got here. Kathy Paris-Wendell, is there a move to suppress the awakening of this DNA? Oh my God, yes. We're in the middle of it, if you hadn't already noticed. So all of this fear-mongering, and I know not everyone agrees with this, but there's so much going on the planet, it would take up another hour to actually really get to the bottom of everything that's going on to suppress that awakening of the DNA, but also to suppress our abilities. So a great way to do that is to create fear, and that actually suppresses our abilities. So I've just had a little reminder. I'm just going to break it up for a few minutes, just to let people know about workshops that are coming up. Then I'll continue for probably another 5-10 minutes. We've got, in the next few months, I've got a level 4 practitioner course for shamanism practitioner course on May 15th and 16th and 22nd and 23rd. We've got a level 1 shamanism coming up on July 31st and August 1st. And then we've got a smudging workshop, not a smudging fan workshop, but a smudging workshop where we'll be, and I've got an example of what we're going to be doing, is there's some sweetgrass that I planted this afternoon. And this is coming from good old Australia, from a good friend of mine. He's growing the sweetgrass, and we did some plaiting this afternoon. So it's really cool. Great stuff. So that's used for smudging. He's also growing sage too, which is pretty cool. So we've got that smudging workshop coming up, and then we've got September 11th and 12th is level 2 shamanism, and then October 23rd and 24th is level 3. So if you'd like to find out more about that and get more details, then just give me a call on 0410 658 797, and I'd be more than happy to help. All right, so let's look at Kathy's question again. So, is there a move to suppress the awakening of this DNA? Oh my goodness. Let me count the ways. So one of the biggest things is this injection that we're getting, the flu injection and this COVID injection. The amount of damaging products in that is just horrendous. So I'm, in theory, I'm not supposed to say this stuff on Facebook because I can get shut down, but it's important that we know this. So there's just in the fear mongering that's being done on TV and the media, that has a huge effect on people. So again, I probably won't go too deep into this one, but it's important to be able to see through the truth, to see the truth through the lies that are really being given to us. And believe me, there are a lot of lies being given to us. This has been the hugest marketing exercise in fear that's been presented to humanity for a long time. So, Fiona, are the rainbow and crystal children born with this DNA already activated? Yes. Yeah, what's happening is more and more children particularly that are being born to parents that are waking up. Those children are becoming more activated from birth. And this is all part of this raising in frequency again. So, yep, that's correct. So Tracy's got another question. In relation to rubbish DNA, yep, what about autism or Mongolism? Are they more evolved than the average human? So autism and Mongolism, there can be other levels where DNA is perhaps being affected, human DNA is being affected by things like toxins in the system. Sometimes this affects, because we're being hit with toxins left, right, and center from the foods we eat, particularly highly processed foods, to chlorine in the water, to the chemtrails, the fine microscopic levels of aluminium that are being basically dumped on us from the air. Just Google geoengineering on that one. But I've got more connection probably to autism because I've been around quite a few autistic people and kids in particular. And what I've noticed is that autism, or this latest term, if they're on the spectrum, autism is what they're talking about. If they're on the spectrum of autism, really what this is about is just super sensitive people or children. One of the this was actually shown to me by one of my guides, and it proved itself right in front of my eyes. So many years ago, I actually had the fortune to meet a little girl who was supposedly autistic, and her mother told me that she didn't interact with people. She didn't look at them in the eye, which is quite common for autistic kids. She was reasonably high on that autism level, and I just observed. I wanted to see her and what was actually going on. And it proved itself over and over in interactions that the one thing autistic kids do is that they can feel every emotion, every thought that's going on in a person's head around them. And so you imagine getting hit by all of those thoughts, judgments, expectations of people around them. What they do by not engaging physically, by looking at a person, they've been able to shut themselves off from people's energy. So this is why kids don't actually look you in the eye that are on that high on that autism level, because they're actually shutting their energy down to you. And it's proved itself over and over again that that's what's going on. As soon as you put them in an environment where there's no expectations on them, where there's no judgment, there's no emotions that they're being pounded with, then they're actually far easier to work with, and they're just really super sensitive kids. So I hope that answers that one. And are they more evolved? I think on that sensitive level, yes, they are. It's just that they're around people who are not evolved, who are really just flaunting those emotions out and don't have a good control of their own emotions and their own feelings. So Tracy's also saying, yes, the food, the drugs, injections, TV, radio, yep, a whole package is what's helping to suppress. But one thing is, it may be, partly suppressing that DNA, but it can't completely suppress it. It is going to wake up. This is a no-brainer, because we're being hit by this higher level of energy more and more, and the frequency is continuously raising. So as it raises, then it can't help but have an effect on that DNA that's within us. It can't help but have an effect on our whole physical body, and our mental body, and our spiritual body, and our emotional body. So, you know, it is, it can't help but affect us. So, and you can't stop it. It doesn't matter whether you're in a cave, on the top of a mountain, in a lead box, you're still going to be hit with this high vibrational energy. So Kathy's saying, looking forward to level 4. Yep, it's coming. So we got Karen, work on oneself. Yes, grounding. I go, TV has, I see. TV has been off with all. Yep, good idea. Christina's saying, thank you. Excellent, Sharon. Your daughters are seeing galactic beings and auras. Fantastic. That's what we want. More kids like that waking up. It feels like there's, you know, for me, it feels like people are only seeing, the majority of people are only seeing one spectrum of a color, of all of the colors that exist. You know, they're only seeing part of the world. And a lot of the world that we aren't seeing is caused by the lies that we're being given, which is suppressing people's energy, keeping them busy, keeping them stressed. So the more stressed you are, the less you're going to be able to see auras and all that kind of stuff. So this is why personal work is so important. So Tracy's saying, yes, my nephew with autism was so at peace here at Christmas, free, but at home he shuts down. Yeah, and that relates quite strongly to all of the emotions that are going on there. You know, look, I don't for 1 second want to put down parents that are going through stuff around autistic kids, because you want your kids to grow up, well, in inverted commas, normal. But nothing, there is no normal anymore. This is the big thing. There just is no normal. And so we have to look at everything far differently now, because the world we once knew has gone. The world is changing really quickly, and we have to keep up with it. So Mary's saying, I fear this vaccine is the next round of physical and mental challenges, a bit like that birth control pill that was meant to be safe. Yeah, exactly. Spot on, Mary. All right. Look, it's 8:05. Really grateful for everyone coming on board. Oh, okay. Anne's here with a quick question. Before you go, is the Earth flat? Yes or no? No. It's a nice thought, but where does the water go to? Doesn't make sense. It's been, I've talked with people that have had that thought that the Earth is flat, and it doesn't make sense, because when you look at the horizon is curved, and when you're in a plane, the horizon is curved, and you can't get around it. That the Earth is a planet. It's roughly in a circular shape, a ball shape. So no, it's not going to be perfectly round, but because the Earth is the Earth, it's a body of stone and of minerals, of gaseous energies and fluid energies, but it is round, and gravity keeps everything there. So and Trina's saying, thank you, Matthew. Great chat this evening. My pleasure, Trina. It's been great. These subjects are really good. And look, I'd be really happy if anyone has a subject they'd like me to talk about. I'm more than happy to do that. So I'd love to have some fresh ideas come in. If you want me to talk about a particular subject, I would love to. I've probably talked about them last year, but I'm happy to to bring them back in again. You know, have a look through the archives of the Fireside Chats and see if there's anything there that you want, or it may not be there. Let me know. That'd be great. Thanks, guys. Oh, mythical beings. Sure, love to. That's a great one. Dragons are one of my pet subjects. So thanks, Karen. Thank you. Loved it. Explained lots of things that have been happening. And we could talk about that one too, actually, an updated version of what is going on with our physical bodies. That'd actually be a good one. All right, guys, thank you again. I'd love to see you, loved seeing you, and love the questions. Thank you very much. And we'll see you next week, next Wednesday, and for a new subject. And we'll let you know on the next week. So stay safe, be good, have fun. Look out for those trickster fairies. You never know where they'll be. Have fun, guys. Bye for now.